This month on Patreon, we exhume Lana Del Rey's summertime sadness in a cold case musical autopsy. We laugh at more bad cameos, plus RDJ's fame fears and Google's AI commits libel. Support the habit at patreon.com/doseofbuckley. You know that old song from the 60s, It's My Party and I'll Cry If I Want To by Leslie Gore? It's about a girl having a party, but then it gets ruined because the guy she wanted shows up with some other chick. Well, if Lady Liberty could shed tears, she'd be bawling her eyes out at who's fucking up her 250th birthday. Buckley, Lady Liberty's some French bitch who welcomes immigrants. She ain't represent my America. Yes, this year marks the 250th birthday of the United States of America, and it's quickly becoming all about one man. The festivities kick off the weekend I post this, actually, with an Ultimate Fighting Championship event taking place on the White House lawn in honor of President Trump's birthday. Oh, and also Flag Day, I guess, but who cares about that? It's Trump's birthday! Billed as UFC Freedom250, they built a stage for the cage on the White House lawn, which feels like something they'd do as a parody in a post-apocalyptic movie in the 70s. In the distant future, 2026, men will fight in cages for the amusement of the president in front of the White House. Before I get called a woke lib for this, too late I know, but this doesn't upset me, I just think it's really, really funny. Now this isn't entirely out of nowhere, you see. Trump also credits himself with basically keeping the UFC alive.
Dana says it better than anybody can say it. They couldn't get any arenas because it was so violent that they couldn't get arenas. I was able to give them, I guess, the first 4 or 5 fights.
Yep. The UFC's first shows were in Colorado in 1993, but I won't be that pedantic. I'll accept that what he's talking about is when the UFC originally went bankrupt, and SEG sold it to Zuffa, these are real companies, and made Dana White president in 2001. UFC's 30 and 31 were held at the now bankrupt Trump Taj Mahal in New Jersey. 2 shows, not 4 or 5. Like, why lie about that? Just say 2, that's fine. And I'll fucking bet he didn't give them anything. Didn't exactly get the venue for free. But that's his connection to the sport. And then Trump trolls everyone on TikTok. Again, what is this country that the president has a TikTok?
Don't know that in Paris, France, the Eiffel Tower, 1889 it was built. It was supposed to be taken down immediately after the World's Fair. And then they said, you know, we sort of like it. Let's leave it up a little bit longer. And then they said, let's leave it up longer and longer and longer. Well, they never took it down. And, you know, we're building something in front of the White House that's quite attractive to a lot of people. It's going to have the big UFC fight on June 14th. And I'm looking at it and maybe we'll never, ever take it down.
You know what? Yeah, please, leave it up. Big gaudy stage blocking the front of the White House, making it look like a fucking Street Fighter level. Would anything be funnier? He can have Eric and Don Jr. fighting it every day. Winner gets told that daddy loves him. But let's talk about the real botch job. The Freedom250 concerts that were supposed to happen. They were a disaster from the beginning. Half these artists were more popular closer to America's 200th birthday. This is a real poster a government agency shared, featuring Martina McBride, Young MC, CNC Music Factory, Vanilla Ice, the living half of Milli Vanilli, the Commodores, of course not featuring Lionel Richie, Morris Day and the Time, Flo Rida near the fucking bottom, and Bret Michaels of Poison. This is the best they could do? This is America's 250th birthday. Even if you couldn't get any libs to perform, even if you couldn't pull off a second Coachella, they couldn't get anyone relevant? Morgan Wallen, Jelly Roll, they're not able to do an hour for America? Ella Langley's got a gap in her schedule between June 27th and July 18th. I think she uses the same self-tanner as Donnie. She couldn't spare a day for America? I'm gonna guess they weren't asked, because clearly whoever put together this lineup in the first place is 1,000 years old. Oh, you know who those dang kids like? Vanilla Ice and Jock Jams. Oh, and there's this new up-and-coming kid called Flo Rida. We could give him a shot. But then, what's more embarrassing? That lineup, or the fact that they nearly all quit? Now, I can't quite figure out the timeline of events here, but it kind of seems to me like most of these artists just caved to some dumbass social media pressure. Like Martina McBride saw some goobers on Twitter saying, "You're playing the Freedom250 shows? So you're one of those people, huh?" So she released a statement saying that she was told it was a nonpartisan event, but that turned out to be misleading, and that things started changing, and what we were told is, in fact, not what is happening. What changed? Again, fucked if I know. I can't find any statements about it before. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, as if you needed my permission to do that. But I think it was basically a bunch of people going, you know that Freedom 250 is the Trump event, and America 250 was the real initiative. Which, the details are boring, but basically, 10 years ago, Congress approved a nonpartisan plan called America 250 to organize the 250th birthday, and funds were diverted from it when Trump took office the second time to do his own thing, because of course that's what he'd do. But these concerts didn't seem to be political. None of the artists were MAGA, clearly, because almost all of them dropped out. The only three who didn't were Vanilla Ice, CNC Music Factory, and Flo Rida. The rest issued similar statements to Martina. Vanilla Ice said he doesn't even vote and that both sides need to come together, while Freedom Williams of CNC Music Factory was a little more outraged. Sitting on a toilet in his home, he recorded a 7-minute message in defiance of everyone saying that he should drop out.
"Shit, you keep pushing me. I'll do the motherfucking show in North Korea, pissing on a fucking American flag, smoking a Cuban cigar, drinking Venezuelan wine, playing golf with motherfucking Kim Il-jung with an Iranian bitch on my lap. While Trump's standing there with his dick in his hand. That's how much of a fuck I give what you niggas think."
Well, you'll have time for that North Korea trip now, Freedom, because that rant was all for nothing. All of the concerts have been canceled. The Daily Mail reported that a White House insider says firings are coming over the fact that organizers allowed Z-list celebrities to embarrass the president. Trump has stepped in and said he's going to have a rally to end all rallies. I know my Trump impression is bad, but we don't want singers with no talent but big fees to put you to sleep. We've told them all to stay home. Well, all of them except for Lee Greenwood. Easy to find him. He's got his tongue up Trump's ass all day long. Donnie just had to look back and ask him if he wanted to participate. And Lee goes, I'll do it. They'll have military bands and a fine and highly dignified gentleman known as President Donald J. Trump. So again, making all this about him, which is really weird because normally you only have a clown up until like your 10th birthday, not for your 250th. In another one of his Truth Social posts, he said he was bigger than Elvis. Physically maybe, but anyway, it's pretty sad. I mean, the actual America 250 events they planned are either boring things like exhibits at the Smithsonian or George Washington whiskey tasting, the fuck? Or my favorite, America 250 at Hell's Kitchen. They're celebrating America's 250th birthday at a Brits restaurant? They fought to get away from his kind. But anyway, perhaps you're asking, why does any of this matter to you, Buckley? You're a stupid leaf. Well, despite the fact that my comedy and commentary covers pop culture and society, and this is both, the fact is that America should be able to showcase its superior entertainment industry for its 250th birthday. America dominates the world, well, at least the English-speaking world, with its pop culture. So much so that countries like Canada and Australia have to create rules to make sure TV and radio stations don't play too much American stuff, because they would if they could. As I write this, you know what the #1 song in Australia is? It ain't two koalas fucking a didgeridoo. It's Ariana Grande's Hate That I Made You Love Me. The #1 song in the UK isn't some fish and chip chewer crooning about the dead queen. It's Ella Langley's Choosin' Texas. The top films of all time worldwide? American. This is America's greatest strength. And the fact that they can't figure out a way to showcase that, to get not just relevant modern artists, but also real legends to perform, not the fuck who stole Under Pressure and sang on the Ninja Turtles soundtrack, that is embarrassing. But you know what's also pretty embarrassing? Remember when we all had a good laugh over that Super Bowl halftime show thing? The right having a meltdown and going, fine, we'll have our own halftime show. Well, the Power to the People Festival was born out of all this mess, with Tom Morello of Rage Against the Machine making the announcement in the wake of all the people dropping out of the Great American State Fair. It's not a direct competitor, it's happening in October, but he definitely timed the announcement to take advantage of the fallout. And it just so happens to be happening in Columbia, Maryland, a 40-minute drive from DC. Featuring special guest Bruce Springsteen, their list of artists is slightly better. The Foo Fighters, Dave Matthews, Public Enemy, Cypress Hill, that traitor Jack Black. I'd laugh at how irrelevant some of these people are in 2026, but the 19,000 capacity venue sold out pretty much immediately, including, and I wish I could write a joke this good, their Robin Hood package for $1,500. Robin Hood famously robbed from the rich to give to the poor. This seems to be robbing from people who make poor choices to give to the nondescript charity. All proceeds from VIP sales will be donated to non-profit organizations fighting for human rights and social justice. We just won't tell you which ones. So, happy birthday, America. 250 years of freedom, and this is the best you can do to celebrate it. A bunch of morons beating CTE into each other on the White House lawn, a narcissist giving a speech about how great he is because he couldn't get one half of Milli Vanilli to show up instead, and a protest concert featuring musicians charging idiots between $150 to $1,500 to hear Dave Grohl sing Everlong. That's your party, and you can cry if you want to, America. I'd offer you a Kleenex, but we don't have those here anymore. Just one more thing you can hold over our heads.